What's going on, everybody? Icosiel here, and with all the issues that have been kind of happening in these first two phases of Classic World of Warcraft, it's got me thinking about the future of Classic WoW and where it might go and what are some possibilities that might happen in the future. So, I want to start off with what has actually kind of gone wrong, or what are some of the controversies that have happened in Classic WoW since it started. Well, there's a couple things out there. There's number one, there's people that did not like layering. There were all sorts of issues with layering, and was it actually necessary? Are the servers way too populated? Should they have gone back to more of what it was back in 2004 instead of being completely overloaded with what they are now? Now you have, in Phase 2, you had the honor system with no battlegrounds, and that caused a lot of chaos. And Alterac Valley is... a lot of people are starting to say, hey, this is just retail. 1.12 is just basically retail AV. We want the original AV that had the minefields and the shredders, and you summon all the NPCs and whatnot. So, and then the final one is faction imbalance. And there are some other issues, some more issues as well, but those are just kind of a brief synopsis of what I'm kind of talking about. So could Classic have been a little bit better? Sure, there's always something that we can critique. But what does that mean for the future? So is this going to be Classic WoW from Phase 1 all the way to Phase 6, and then once we get to Phase 6, it just... you did your Naxxramas, and now it's just... there it is. There's Classic. And now we're going to move on to Classic Burning Crusade, and then Classic Wrath, and hopefully they don't do a Classic Cataclysm, because I don't see anybody really wanting to do that. But that's another video. So is that where it ends? Well, I kind of think that that might not actually be the case. If you look at the private server scene, and I was on that scene for about 5 years, maybe even 6, what I actually noticed was that you would have the populations of these servers, some would get very, very popular, but then a new one would pop up, and maybe it was offering something a little different. Like, I remember when these servers first started, it was all about times 14 leveling and getting to endgame as fast as possible. They were very, very buggy. But then all of a sudden you had, hey, these are Blizz-like, and people are like, yeah, I want to do Blizz-like. But some might have still been a little bit buggy, and then a new one starts, and then people jump over to that. But this one was based on 1.9, not 1.12, and so they all kind of offered just little things. It was still as close to vanilla as they could get, but it was there were just little differences. So could Blizzard actually do something like that? And I think they could. So we have the Classic WoW that we have now, this 6 phases, and it is what it is, and there's going to be future problems as more phases come out, and we're all going to talk about it. But could they actually go back and re-release Classic, just brand new servers? But this time they're like, hey, you know what? Instead of doing 6 phases, we're going to do 5. Maybe Phase 2 this time, when we bring out the honor system, we're going to have battlegrounds. Or maybe they're like, hey, you know what? Why don't we not use 1.12, or they could use 1.12, but why don't we make dial back the nerfs and make it a little bit more difficult to what people remembered in 1.9 or 1.4 or whatever. Maybe they actually say, hey, on these servers, it's going to be AV from, original. Like, it's not going to be 1.12 AV. Maybe they do bring back all the minefields and shredders and everything. I think as long as Blizzard is honest and says, hey, this is what we're going to do and this is what these servers are going to be about, they can still remain true to Classic. It's just offering something a little bit different. It's learning from the mistakes of this one and trying to make it better. And I think what you would see is people, just like as they did on the private server scene, they would say, hey, you know what? I want to give that a shot. I want to go. Let's see if it's better. Of course, it might have its own issues too. There's always unforeseen issues that end up happening, but I'm willing to bet that the Classic community is, if they see something a little bit different and seeing that they're trying to fix it, I see the community saying, I want that and I want to play, and keeps the hype of Classic WoW. Now, I am a firm believer that Classic Burning Crusade is going to happen. I have no doubt that's going to happen. So then you run into the situation of, okay, well, they have Classic Burning Crusade now. Do you really want to do that with the Classic servers? Do you do that at the same time? Do you just leave it alone? What do you do? So it brings up a lot of questions of what's the best way to implement it. Maybe after you do a Classic Burning Crusade and a Classic Wrath, and once Classic Wrath is done with its phases, if they even have to do phases with that one, then they all of a sudden come back and say, hey, we're going to do Classic again, brand new Classic servers, but we're doing this kind of stuff, original AV and extra, or maybe even Classic Plus. Maybe they decide, hey, yeah, we want to show you what we were originally thinking so that you can do a level 60 Karazhan and see what our designs were for the original Grim Batol, but I can't even pronounce it. But those are all options, I think, for the future. Because if there's one thing that I have seen about the Classic community, is that they are extremely loyal. They're very vocal about what they don't like, but they're very loyal. If you bring Classic, there always just seems to be this base that just wants to play it. And it brings a lot more people. It brings a lot more interest. And so, you have some of the devs, when they were making World of Warcraft, saying, hey, I think this game can last 20 years. I think if they keep doing stuff like that and trying to refine it, and when I say refine, I don't mean like quality of life. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is just trying to perfect the vanilla experience is what I'm talking about. I see a lot of people just continuing, and it just going on for 25, 30 years, and who knows, maybe I'll be a granddad and I'm like, yeah, this is what I used to play. You never know. So I think there's all sorts of ways that they can go about just trying to perfect Classic and keeping it going so that it's not a game that just eventually fizzles. I mean, I truly believe that Classic World of Warcraft and even Burning Crusade, it's truly a work of art. It really changed the industry. It changed MMOs. And I think that if they don't just, hey, here's your 6 phases and that's it, I think they can keep it going for many, many more years to come. So that's my thoughts on it. What do you guys think the future will be? I think that they can do that, and I think that people will still be around, still playing it, and the servers will be packed, and people will still be having a lot of fun. But what do you think? Is that something that you don't want to see? That's absolutely fine if that's true. So anyways, thank you very much for watching. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe for more content that I produce. Check out some of my weekend streams for a more casual experience to Classic WoW. And also you can follow me on Twitter at Icosial Classic WoW. Wow, I almost forgot it. Anyways, thank you very much for watching, and I will talk to you all later.